I'm your host, June Mack, and you're listening to the Fully Woo podcast. I'll be talking about all the fun woo-woo things in a down-to-earth, bright, light-hearted, and easy-to-navigate way. Hopefully, I'll be able to help you ignite and light the way on your own spiritual journey and evolution too. In today's episode 4 of the Fully Woo podcast, I share my interpretation of who your spirit guides are and why you might like to work with them. Who exactly are they? What exactly are they? Who makes up your astral team? Do we all have spirit guides? And how I bet you've already been receiving their messages. Have you learned to recognize them though? Keep listening to episode 4 for all of this, plus some ways you can increase your connection with your own spirit guides. Today's episode is brought to you by Guided, my 5-week live group program, which is a deep dive into working with and connecting with your spirit guides, and also learning how to receive from them intuitive insight. We start on June 7th. It's suitable for beginners, and you can find out more via junemac.com/programs. Hello, and welcome to episode 4 of the Fully Woo podcast, your modern-day spirituality podcast. I'm your host, June Mack, intuitive, psychic, energy healer, taking the complications out of connecting with your spirituality and trying my best to explain things spiritually wise in a simpleton's way. Today I will be talking about one of my most favorite subjects ever, your spirit guides. I can actually feel my heart rate start to increase as the words even come out of my mouth. I get so excited to talk about guides because for me, when I surrendered to letting these beings of light in and truly invited them in, this is when everything changed for me. We as humans have free will, and if we make the conscious decision to invite in our own spirit guides and let them know we want to work with them for a more abundant life and for clearer direction, your whole world can change for the better. It's just, I can't even begin to tell you how much my life changed when I decided to surrender to them. But who exactly are you inviting in? And why would you want to? So this is definitely a decent question because you should question these things, and no one's going to want to just invite in any old stranger. So here is the thing. Your guides aren't really like a stranger because they have always been there. I personally believe they know you better than anyone else in the entire world does. They know the very core of your being, who you are as a soul, all your deepest, darkest secrets, what you are here to achieve, the good, amazing things that you are capable of in your life, and your spirit guides only want to steer you in the very best direction to get you to this true happiness, this true contentfulness and fulfillment. It's the very reason that they are here, or why we have them, is they are here to work with you, or you are here to work together. I don't like to say to work for you because that makes it sound like they're an employee or something. You have to work together because they are always trying to give you intuitive insight, but it is also up to you to take action on the intuitive insight that they are dropping in. So this is why I say you really are working together. You purposely can work with them, and I actually believe this is everyone's right that they are born with, and this is what your spirit guides are here for, is actually so that you can work together with them. It's just that we as humans, most of us have forgotten how to hear their guidance or tune into their guidance. We aren't necessarily always taught to go with our own intuitive abilities. So many times for a lot of us, listening to your intuition has been conditioned out. It's almost like, when you have someone in your life who says, the smart decision is to get a 9-to-5 job that pays a lot of money and you work really, really hard, and you might not necessarily like your life, but this is what you should be doing because it's the responsible thing to do. If you don't like your job and you are miserable in it, I personally believe that is 100% going against your intuition. So that's just an example of how listening to our intuition has been somewhat conditioned out of us, or a lot of us, not all of us, I'm going to say. And, growing up, like hearing these different opinions, sometimes from teachers, sometimes from parents, sometimes from family members or friends, they can come from all different directions. It can be hard to tune it out. But if you do want to work with your spirit guides or decide to invite them in, because we have free will to decide whether we want to work with them or not, this can 100% help you to turn your life around into something that you actually love and love most aspects of it. So who exactly are your spirit guides? What exactly are they? Like anything else that I speak about, these are only my perceptions and what I believe to be true. How I have been shown things by my own guides, and also from some information are parts that I have picked up that resonate with me that has come from my own spiritual mentors. So what I say you might disagree with, it might be different from what you've heard before. But this is the thing with spiritual insight, is that there are so many different interpretations and nothing can be 100% proven because it's intuitive work, right? It's not going to be scientifically proven. But this is what I perceive to be true. And this is what I have been shown or understand from the information that I have received from my own spirit guides. It's always open to interpretation and it's always open to change my perception. This is just where I'm feeling at this current time, or what I understand at this current time. So what I know about spirit guides is, first of all, I definitely believe that we all have them from birth. We are all born with spirit guides, because if you have decided to come down here on Earth, Earth is one of the most dense places that a spirit can experience. A human life is one of the toughest lives that a spirit can experience. So if you are a spirit that has decided to incarnate here on Earth, then you are one tough mofo. Because Earth is one of the only places that you will experience life as a spirit in a human body with human emotions, with a human mind that gets in the way, as well as physical feelings, or a physical body that feels feelings too, pain or physical emotions like jealousy and hatred. This is one of the only places you can come to where a spirit will experience a life like this. So when you come down here to Earth, because you've decided to experience life in a one of its tougher forms, you are in a human body as well, a spirit in a human body, spiritually, emotionally, physically, mentally. So I believe we are all sent here with a spirit team or an astral team that is here to help us to navigate it. So God, the divine, the universe, whatever word it is that you resonate with, they would not send us here alone. Like, obviously we have, God, the universe, the divine to depend on as well, but we all have our own individual spirit guides. You might decide to call them your angels or your guides or your loved ones or your team, your astral team, whatever it is. I don't think they're too fussy about what it is they are called. They are high vibrational, spirits. They have not yet made it to source or to, God or to the universe. They are not yet part as him as one. This is just as much as it's really hard to try and explain in human words the way that I have been shown or perceive spirit guides, because the way that I've been shown it is not in a human way. It sounds absolutely crazy, but the way that you receive messages from your spirit guides, it's not with words. It's often with feelings, sometimes words, with a knowing, with visions. It's all simultaneously experiencing these things at once, and trying to get them into words, I'm finding it really difficult. But I believe that a lot of these spirit guides are spirits that still have lessons to learn themselves. They are of higher vibration than what we are as humans. They are a higher level of spirit. So how I have been shown it is that we as humans are on one vibrational level. So not a lower vibrational level, or we're on one vibrational level. Then there are your spirit guides and loved ones that are slightly above us. So you can just imagine I've got my hand here for us. I've got my hand above us as your spirit guides and loved ones. And then above that, you have goddesses, ascended masters, archangels, above those spirit guides and loved ones and above us. And then at the very top, you've got, your source, your one, the divine, your God up there. So there's kind of these levels of vibrational spirits. And for your spirit guides to be able to contact you or to get messages across, we have to raise our vibe to be able to get closer to them, and they have to lower their vibe to be able to contact us. So we're kind of meeting in the middle. I think I did explain this in the last episode when talking about mediumship. It's a very similar thing. So we have these spirit guides that are there at a higher vibration that are there to help navigate us through this life. And we, as spirits, before we came down into this life, did agree on a few set soul purposes and lessons that we decided we were going to learn and things we were here to achieve. And our guides are here to help us to achieve these things or learn these lessons and help us achieve these things in the best way for us, if this makes sense. We still also have free will to choose and decide. We are the magicians of our lives, as you will. You've probably heard that saying before, but I love that saying because we really do have so much control over a lot of it. But how many guides would you say that we have? So as far as I can judge, we usually have anywhere between 5 and 8 at any given time. And they are made up of your master guide, which I believe is your main guide, who's been there with you from birth right up until now and will be with you right up until the end. If you were to hear your master guide's voice, for example, this would be the voice that would sound very familiar to you. If you have seen in meditations, if you're lucky enough to have seen or dreamt about your master guide or your main guide, you might, look into their eyes and it would feel extremely familiar. Your gatekeeper, I believe, is your protector, who is also there they're all your protectors, but their set purpose really is your protector. They've been there from birth until the end as well. And they are sort of like your two main guides. Your gatekeeper, I think, is who, like, say, for example, you are at a party and you get a feeling like, I need to leave here, something's about to happen, and it's usually your gatekeeper giving you those warnings. You know that feeling in your stomach you might get when something's off, like I need to get out of here, and you go, and then, your friend messages you and goes, oh my gosh, exactly where you were standing, a huge fight broke out. Thank goodness you left when you did, because people were punching and, flailing all over the place, and thank goodness you weren't there in that exact spot. And I believe this would be your gatekeeper, who would be the one who would be sending you these warning types of messages. So you have those two main guides, as far as I know, and then there are other guides. This is why I say between 5 and 8, because you can have more than this, you can have less than this at any given time, depending on what part of your life you are going through. There are these other guides that pop in for different things that you might be going through, and these other interchangeable guides might stay with you for 2 weeks, 3 months, 5 years, 7 years, or stay with you until the end as well. And they're here to help you through specific times in your life. Like you might have a guide that pops in that is here to help you specifically with study. And you're going through university at this particular time and you're studying this new thing, and you might have this guide that pops in who's here to help you specifically with that. And after you finish your study, then that guide might peace out and swap with another guide who's then here to help you with your work endeavors. So that's how I sort of interpret the interchangeable ones, or the ones that come in and go out. So my own guides, what I have seen of them, so I can tune into my own guides, and different ones will have revealed themselves at different times, usually during meditation. And I have this specific set aside time that I use to connect with my spirit guides and sort of build this bond or build this connection, because the more you build this bond with them, the more you will receive intuitive insight. And the guides that I have been made aware of, one of the first guides that I saw was a Buddhist monk, I believe a Buddhist monk, a little small cute man, older man in like, they are actually sort of like a reddish coloured outfit or robe, whatever you want to call it. And I did do some research on it and see that it was, I think they're Cambodian monks, so like a different to the ones that are in the orange. Or maybe it was Mongolian. I can't even remember now. I'm really terrible at this stuff, because for me, it doesn't make too much difference. I just know what he's there for and things that he has helped me with. I did do some research on it, but now I've forgotten, obviously, because the most important thing is really the connection that I have with him. Other guides that I have seen, especially recently, are two Egyptian guides. First, there was a woman Egyptian guide that came through that literally had this big headpiece on, that looked like, so I'm a big fan of Michael Jackson, don't judge me, he's my fave, but if you are familiar with Remember the Time video clip where the Pharaoh's wife has that big thing on her head, that's like what this guide presented herself as. And I believe she was here to help me with my intuitive healing journey, because she would always she popped in when I started on my intuitive healing learning. And I do call her in, or call her in close, when I am doing healings on other people, because I believe you can use certain guides to make your work more potent. And I do absolutely believe that this female Egyptian woman that comes through helps me with this. And I also ask her for healing on myself. When I'm doing healing on myself, I also ask her to step in, or I might say, okay, I'm finished with my own healing on myself now. I'm going to go to sleep. Can you just continue in my sleep to give me some healing? A little bit cheeky. But you can receive healing in your sleep, because I'm feeling a bit energetically drained, and then I'll wake up and I feel amazing. So I love her. I love this Egyptian woman. I have also recently been introduced to an Egyptian male who pops in, and it's funny because I've had readings recently and other intuitives have picked up on these same guides. I have also been told about a Native American guide, which a lot of you who have had readings or heard about readings are probably like, everyone seems to have a Native American. A Native American Indian as a guide, because I guess, you know, they were so developed as people and so spiritual that it would make sense that they are at a higher vibration now and helping other humans to, you know, navigate Earth. I believe that most spirit guides that come through are souls that have finished incarnating, although sometimes I have perceived guides as passed over loved ones. So I'll come back to that. But most of them that I have encountered, I believe, have finished incarnating. There are some people that, so from doing readings, I have encountered many different types of spirit guides. It's not just my own guides that I've had encounters with. One of my first abilities that I was made quite aware of or something that stood out, was my ability to be able to tune into usually one, sometimes two of your guides that are important in this particular phase in your life, and what energies they're bringing through to help you with. So from my past of doing readings, other types of guides that I have encountered are beings or spiritual beings from past lives. So they might have been, for example, a boyfriend or a boyfie from a previous lifetime, and you have this really strong connection, and they've decided they want to hang around with you in this particular lifetime, even though they've decided not to incarnate, but they want to help you to navigate this incarnation. So it could be someone that you would know from a past life. This might trip some people out, but there are many spirit guides that I've encountered that are from the elemental background. So if you're not sure what an elemental is, I'm talking Lord of the Rings type elves I've seen. Fairies are a common one that I get in my readings. Mermaids. I honestly believe now that any mythical creature that you have read about isn't actually mythical and probably comes somewhere from existence in some point in time. It's not, or in some dimension or alternate timeline, whatever it is you want to call it, because there are some people that I have heard of that have had dragons as spirit guides, and other people have tapped into these. I myself did have at one point, I'm not sure if she's still there, have a fairy as a spirit guide, and she's one of the only ones that's come through to me with a name. So for myself, her name was Aria, and I've spoken about her before in some lives that I've done, but she popped in at the beginning of my spiritual journey when I first started doing readings, and I would, and still do, sometimes put a lot of pressure on myself to deliver a really amazing reading. And Aria would always pop in. I'd feel like this flitting about light energy, which is such a fairy energy. And she would come in to remind me to chill out and not put so much pressure on myself, and remind me to come from that playful side. Because when we're trying to connect with our intuition, when we are trying too hard, when we are putting pressure on ourselves or expectations of what is supposed to happen, is actually when we shut it down. When we come at spirituality or our own intuition from a playful area, which is why I started this work in the first place, is because I find it fun, is when it is the easiest to connect. And I have done the most profound readings when I have been coming from this state of mind or coming from this relaxed energy. And Aria used to pop in when I would feel the pressure. I'd feel flitting in going, don't forget why you started this, because this is fun for you. Remember, this is fun. You love helping people. Chill out. And I actually haven't had her pop up in readings for a while now, maybe because the lesson has been learned there, or much of it has been learned in terms of don't go in with expectations like this has got to happen and that has got to happen. And this person said that when they did readings, this is what happened to them. And everyone is different. We all have our own abilities, and we are also unique. So it doesn't need to be the same as anyone else's. It needs to be the same. It needs to be you, just you. So I'm not sure if she's just stepped back a bit, Aria, or if she's totally gone. I'm unsure. Anyways, thank you, Aria. Fairies often pop in for healers, because fairies have this beautiful healing energy. They pop in for the same reason that Aria popped in for me, to tell others to be more playful in life, because this is when life and intuition is easy to connect with, when you're coming at it from a fun energy. I have also encountered spirit animals, and many of you, I'm sure, have encountered spirit animals. For one in particular that stands out, one reading that I did was a fox that popped up in her reading, and this fox was just like staring me down and sitting there, and I just knew straight away. I got this feeling like, oh, this is this person's gatekeeper. This person's gatekeeper is a fox. This is the spirit that has been looking out for her throughout her life. And it was the craziest thing, because as soon as I mentioned this fox to my client, her eyes were just wide, because she had seen this fox everywhere, and she knew it was something, but she never knew what it was. She didn't have much knowledge around spirit guides. or what they are and what they do, but she would open a book and flick open to the page, that had a fox on it. She would see out the corner of her eye sometimes, what you might call your third eye or peripheral vision, little fox like jumping around. She, during meditations, had seen this fox pop up, and she could not believe it because it was sort of just confirming her already. What her intuition knew was that this fox was around and trying to guide her through on things. So spirit animals are a thing. You might have a project guide, like I mentioned before, that might pop up for your study or for a particular business if you're someone that, works for themselves, or if you're navigating a hard time with your family, there might be a guide that comes up specifically for this. There's one of my favorite stories in regards to a reading that I did for one of my regular clients, and she was actually setting up a school for Indigenous Australians, or she's a teacher or a type of classwork or a specific, look, I don't know much about school stuff, so you get the point, but like a program, there you go, a program for Indigenous children. And she actually had this Indigenous boy step in, a young boy who was the energy that was helping her to create this amazing program that, she was making. And she had also connected with him previously before he was brought up in the reading, and she has kept in contact with me and told me that when she got this project off the ground and it was finally running, it was finally done, she'd gotten it to the point that she wanted it to get to, she felt this spirit guide leave her. So she sort of mentioned it as though out of the side of her vision, she kind of finished typing on her computer what it was that she'd finished typing, and she knew she'd completed sort of this stage or as far as she could get with this particular program. And she actually saw him turn around and walk out the door and leave, and she felt his presence kind of go. And she was a little bit sad about it. We are a bit sad when they leave us, but it's also amazing because then new ones step in for new phases of your life. So there's project guides. I have encountered loved ones. So whenever I do readings on people and their spirit guides do present themselves, I do think that they present themselves almost as like an avatar. So presenting in a way that is not going to freak you out. So I have had, so for example, if you're new to the spiritual world, you are unlikely in a reading going to get something completely that's going to trip you out like a mermaid or an elf, and you're going to be like, oh, whatever, like this doesn't resonate with me. You might get something more gentle. Like I have sometimes got passed over loved ones that I believe step in as part of your astral team to help you through. And they are, so people's grandmothers, parents, they do step in with the astral team and absolutely, I believe, help to guide you through certain areas or aspects of your life. You might feel yourself in certain hard times of your life. You might feel, a loved one step in or feel their energy and know that they're around and they're sending you love and they're trying to help you as much as possible. So sometimes during readings, this is who presents themselves as giving information would be or guidance would be a passed over loved one. And when guides come through, I often feel the energy that they are bringing through with them and that they're trying to get across. So there has been one lady, for example, who I read who had a tiger. It was like this crazy morphing tiger that was a beautiful woman who could change into a tiger, and it sounds so crazy, right? But look, this is why you're listening to the Fully Woo podcast, because of these things. And this client one of her dreams in life was to set up, a spiritual business on her own. So without giving away too much information from my client, because I'm not sure if I'm not going to name her particular business, but this tiger, when she first came up in a reading, this client was a yogi who had, during a meditation, already connected with seen this beautiful tiger and seen colors and everything around them. And yeah, it was just such a profound moment when you mentioned something that the client has already connected with. And the energy that this tiger woman, whatever you want to call her, was bringing through was just like, a tiger's would be, which was this strong, sleek energy, fast action taker, because it was time to take action. This beautiful feminine energy as well, like listening to your intuition. So this is why I believe maybe she was presenting herself as like a woman as well. So transforming into a woman. I do believe that they present themselves almost like an avatar to exactly what it is that you resonate with, or exactly what it is that you need in this current time of your life. I don't really think they mind so much about having a particular name. I do think that some people get very caught up on, but what are their names? You can name them whatever you want. They don't care if you call them John or Mary. As long as you know that they are there and that they are helping you is the main thing. A lot of people also get really caught up on seeing them. So I see them because one of my strongest psychic abilities is clairvoyance, which is a psychic sense of seeing, is I see things. But there are many intuitives who clairvoyance is not their strongest. And even a lot of my clients who I'm working with now in Bloom, my psychic mentoring program, their strongest is not clairvoyance. Their strongest psychic ability might be claircognizance, which is the psychic sense of knowing. They just know things. And their readings for other people are just as powerful without ever seeing anything. They don't need to see anything because they just know. And this is what I believe it's like with your spirit guides. Do not get caught up on having to see them, because they are a spirit, they are an energy. It's more about feeling and the belief and just knowing that they are there and they are here to help us. We can also choose who we want to work with. This is something that a lot of people don't realize, is that they are there, right? But they're not just there. You can call in energies to help you with certain things. So there are 10,000 different goddesses. Like if you go down the goddess rabbit hole, you will be lost for hours. There are so many different goddesses, or deities, I think they call them, and they all possess different energies and for different things. Goddesses might be a whole nother podcast, but you can call in specific goddesses to help you with specific lessons in your life. For example, I have had some goddesses pop through in readings, like Goddess Lakshmi, who is the goddess of abundance. And when this particular person's lesson or thing that she needed to learn was abundance in all different areas of her life, because she had such a poverty story in that, you have to work really, really hard to be able to make good money, and she didn't deserve to have a happy life. And Goddess Lakshmi came through in this particular reading to teach her about abundance. And I also think to prompt this client to say, like, you can use me and I can help you with this journey of learning how to be abundant and happy in your own life. There are archangels who you can work with. Each archangel has its own specific strength as well. You might have heard of Archangel Raphael, who is the master healer, like the healer of all healers. So I do know a lot of healers that call in Archangel Raphael to work with them during healings, or if you need healing yourself. A lot of the time, Archangel Raphael might present for you in a reading. Archangel Gabriel is the protector. So if you need protection or energy protection, he might step in too. I have also had, I mentioned galactic beings before, and I don't mean to trip anybody out, but I have had galactic beings pop in during some people's readings, and only people who have knowledge of them. I don't have a huge knowledge of them, but one particular galactic being that, or type of galactic being that pops through for me often, especially when I'm reading for a healer, would be the Arcturians. If you want to do some research on them, that's Arcturians, I think. And they present themselves as this blue light energy, and they are extremely high frequency, highly potent healers. And it's funny because either the Fairies, the Arcturians, or Raphael will pop up before I even know that this person is a healer, before they've even confirmed it. I feel tingling in my hands, tingling in my fingers when I read for another healer. Sometimes the healer is not even aware that they are that they are a healer yet, or that they are to go down this road. So Arcturians are an example of a galactic being that I have had pop up in readings before. You can also, so you can choose to work with different guides or ask for guides to come in to help you with specific things. So, for example, when I was interested in mediumship and I knew I have a mediumship ability, I have the ability to be able to communicate with the past over, but I would like to up my own abilities and to be confident to actually release this as a what do you call them, a reading or a session that I offer, because I don't really offer them yet. If they pop in, they pop in during a reading, but it's not something that I would go in with the intention of connecting with. I asked my guides, I need a mediumship mentor. Please help to bring me one who can help me with this particular section of my spiritual development. And I did feel another presence pop in, who another intuitive person did actually confirm this for me. And then it was crazy. I asked for a spiritual mentor, and then up comes this person in my feed who kept popping up and kept popping up until I contacted them. And then I'm now working with them as well for mediumship, as well as, you know, a couple of other people, so they can come in to help you. You can also make the decision, if you don't want all these different guides coming in and it's too much for you, you can ask them just to present themselves as just one. And I do know a lot of people that work in the spiritual realm who have made this decision, that have just asked their guides to morph into the one and just communicate with, you know, their master guide. And, you know, I believe they're speaking as a collective anyway, but they prefer to just have the one energy's input. So it's completely up to you. We do have a lot of, we have the free will to call them in and invite them in and start working with them. And we have the free will to also decide if we're going to bring in higher energies like goddesses and archangels and ascended masters. So ascended masters are things like, you might have heard in spirituality, like Jesus, Mother Mary, Buddha, I think there's like different Indian gods. They are ascended masters, which were once human, that are now, you know, at that higher level. So in regards to your guides, you might have not really quite already invited them in yet, or consciously done it. But I do believe that most of you, especially if you're listening to this podcast or you're open to this, right, have probably already been receiving messages from your spirit guides and maybe not realizing that they are your guides, or maybe you have. I was definitely already receiving messages from them. So they were things like, they call them synchronicities. So just beautiful things that come up in divine timing. You know, like, for example, when I ask for help with something and then I get the help with something, like with my mediumship, you might feel them around. You might continually see butterflies or birds, or a particular type of bird, or a crow, or a pigeon, which is one of my spirit guide messages. You might see ladybugs. You might have been constantly seeing angel numbers. You know, how have you heard, do you ever look at the phone and see like 1111 or 911 or 333? Or for me, for example, one of my angel numbers that I see regularly is 444. And these might be your guides, you know, saying, you know, like, we're here, we're ready for you to decide to work with us. We're here to help to guide you stronger on your path in life. You might find coins. You might need help with something and kind of say, oh my goodness, you know, like, help me with this, please. And all of a sudden it's up in your Facebook feed. Like, you are like, which is the next program I need to study to help me, you know, move forward with this particular area of my life. And then all of a sudden everywhere in your Facebook feed, like this particular person or particular programs popping up. You might really need nurturing in this particular time of your life. And this is actually a really cool story from one of my clients who kept, she's working with me inside Bloom, so my psychic mentoring. And during her meditation time, she kept seeing Mother Mary. Mother Mary kept popping up in her cards, in her meditation. And she's not, doesn't come from a religious background. She doesn't even really know much about what Mother Mary is for or was for. And when she mentioned it to me, I know, because of one, I have had a Catholic upbringing. Two, because of spirituality's interpretation of Mother Mary as the major nurturer who's here to give you love and to make you feel held when you need healing or you need care yourself. And this is exactly where this client was at in her life. She needed this nurturing. She needed this mothering energy. And when she realized what it was, she noticed that when she connected with Mother Mary, all of a sudden her own mother was calling her and checking in on her and making sure she was okay and coming over and visiting. And she was then receiving this nurturing energy after she was kind of putting it out there, what it is that she needed. So I believe that, Mother Mary is a type of guide or ascended master that you might call in to help with that specific energy if you need it. I also know somebody else, so another client that I had who was a new mum, and she had asked, Mother Mary, oh my goodness, but she's coming from a Catholic upbringing, and she had called on Mother Mary and said, I just need some help here because I am having trouble nurturing my baby as well as nurturing myself. And, those of you who are new mums or who have been mothers will totally understand the struggle is real in between trying to take care of and keep alive another human being, as well as trying to keep yourself alive and take care of yourself. So she spoke to Mother Mary, and then it was literally that afternoon, someone knocks on her door, and it's one of her best friends has popped in and said, I don't know what it was, but I just got the feeling like you needed some help, and pops over to hold on to the baby while, this girl went and had a shower, had a little bit of a nap, was able to catch up and eat some food, and her friend just held the baby while she went and did these things. And that was exactly what she needed in that time. And I really do believe this is because she called in on Mother Mary, who was that nurturing energy. So this is, just an example of how your spirit guides can pop up. You might have felt that you've already connected with them when you get warnings, when something doesn't feel right, or you might feel the need to check in on someone and you just keep thinking about a particular person, and then you call them and they're like, oh my gosh, yes, I've had the worst day. So these are experiences that you might have had with your guides already. In the beginning, I was receiving clairvoyant signs from my spirit guides. So I believe I was seeing things, and these signs, I did not understand them. I didn't know what to do with them. I didn't know what they wanted. Now that I look back on it, I think I've mentioned before, I just believe they were okay, it's time for you to start your psychic development so you can start work as a light worker. And because I didn't know what to do with these messages is when I started my own psychic development and learning how. And it's been building this relationship through my spirit guides is how I've started being able to receive intuitive information for myself and then eventually for other people. And I receive their insights, or I believe I'm receiving messages from my own guides through my own psychic clairs. So my own psychic abilities like psychic sense of seeing and hearing and knowing and feeling things. And these are my guides that are giving me this intuitive information. And my abilities have grown over time as my trust and my relationship has grown with my own guides. And I can ask them for help with anything. And as I do, and as I learn how to listen to them, my intuition just continues to grow and my own abilities continue to grow. And this is what you also are capable of if you did decide to learn to increase your connection with your own spirit guides. It's you just will know where to go. There will be less questioning in your own life, and your own life becomes more beautiful and more in flow. So a few things you can do on your own is to actually invite your own guides in. So if you want to start a connection with them, is actually say, hey, spirit guides, I'm ready to work with you. If you want to send me some messages, my dreams are open. Come and visit me in my dreams. Or give me a sign, whatever it is that you feel like that you vibe with. You might create some quiet time because your spirit guides cannot get through to you when you are busy, 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 busy. So by that, I mean maybe going out for walks in nature, maybe going into a meditation and actually setting the intention of this is some time that I would like to connect with you, guides. I'm opening this up for communication. Have a regular connection time, like a date. So, for example, I probably meditate 3 or 4 times a week, or maybe anywhere between 3 to 5 times a week, and it's like a date with my spirit guides. I only spend around 10 to 12 minutes, sometimes longer, sometimes less. There are some people that I know that meditate for hours. That has never really been me, and for me, that's all I need to keep this connection going. There's a lot more things that you can do, but I'm already at 43 minutes during this episode, so I think I better wrap it up a little bit. So if you want to learn more and go deeper through a few things in regards to how you can connect with your spirit guides, I have a few things coming up. So I have my masterclass, which is my spirit guide masterclass, which is just about starting that connection with your guides. It's one class and ways to invite them in and begin this connection, and also learning how to differentiate the messages between your own thoughts and between messages from your spirit guides or intuitive messages. This is coming up on May 13th, so 2022, $33 for this masterclass. But even if you're listening to this afterwards, this class is still available, will still be available to purchase after, because you just watch the replay. You don't need to watch it live. I also have Guided, which is my 5-week program, is really like a deeper dive into your spirit guides, which is to coach you through all the different ways you can connect with your guides and how exactly to do it. So if you're like, well, I don't really understand how to meditate, I don't really know how to do automatic writing, these are just a couple of the things that we deep dive into. And we are going to learn, it's a group program, so altogether there'll be a smaller size group, but we're all going to be, helping each other through and keeping each other accountable, and learning even how to receive intuitive insight for yourself and even for other people if this is what you're interested in doing. You'll be able to share your experiences. Anyway, if you're interested in any in Guided or in my Spirit Guide Masterclass, you can find the information at junemac.com/programs. Guided starts on June 7th, and it won't be a watch again type program. This will be a program that we're doing live, we're doing together, so online Zooms. It's $344 for the 5 weeks, but it's weekly 1-hour sessions as well as weekly support. So if you're not understanding or you're confused about things, you can, message me for support and into the group support message Voxer app program, which it's a free app. Anyway, thank you so much for listening to this episode. If there's any more information that you would like, it's in the show notes. I hope that you have enjoyed hearing my interpretation of your spirit guides, and I hope this might inspire some of you to invite them into your life. During my date time or my connection time with my spirit guides, this is where I have encountered some of the most amazing magical moments of just feeling their pure love and gratitude, and everything that you send out to them, they send right back. And if more of us can experience what this world is about and this amazing connection that you have every right to have with your own spirit guides, this world would be an even more amazing, beautiful place. So thank you so much for listening, and I can't wait to connect with you again during episode 5. I'm June Mack, and I wanted to thank you for tuning in to the Fully Woo podcast. I can't tell you how grateful I am to have had you here. You can find me over at junemac.com or on all social media as Ms. June Mack. If you enjoyed today's episode, it would mean so much if you could please subscribe, rate, review, and share. Thank you so much for listening. It's been a privilege to be in your ears.